What's up, guys? Let's look at the price of Bitcoin, what is happening and what to expect. Let's start from the higher time frames and more like a global picture. Sorry I didn't make updates for a while, but technically we are pretty in the same condition and we see the price development in the way that we expected, namely we are going down. So first of all, this triangle, this massive huge triangle, which is a kind of a meme already, but still we can't ignore it because again we saw a lot of support for this trend line. We saw the resistance and tested this resistance several times as well, and there are many other interesting points which we can conclude from that picture. So first of all, as you see, we had these several rises, like this rise, and the current rise as well. Every time when we broke the trend line, which was a support trend line for this current rise, we saw the decline in the price. Here it was decline, here it was a massive decline, and now we broke the same support line again, which kind of indicating that we have a high chance to continue going lower. And moreover, every time when we see this, let's say, retest over resistance here or a support here, it was also around the zone of the support or resistance. For example, this huge area of support here, we just touched it briefly. This is a huge area of resistance. It was support before and became resistance. We bounced from this zone as well, and this zone as well. You see, we just had the rejection from the area of the same support which became resistance recently. Actually, it would be reasonable to expect that this decline continues to something like here, but it didn't happen, and pretty much the same way, but in kind of a mirror behavior, I would say might happen right now. Like instead of continuing going higher to $9,000 or $10,000 to face this resistance, we may go lower and test this support once again. But if it happens, I think it's very likely that it will be the last test, and yeah, the double bottom, it's really unlikely to happen. So we probably will test this support again and see the price lower than this support, meaning lower than $3,000. But again, this is just my personal opinion, not a financial, not a investment advice. And if you'll zoom in a little bit, you will see pretty much the similar picture. Well, a little bit different perspective. For example, again, this is a huge zone of support and which became resistance. Also, there's a trend line over here. You see this one? We had many bounces from this trend line, from the top, from the bottom, and then when we broke to the new kind of area below that, we have pretty much the same thing. So this was the area, we had the bounce from this area, and again this is a trend line which we had the bounce from this trend line recently. So it makes a perfect sense. Moreover, if you'll zoom in even more, then you would see that we have a descending wedge, descending broadening wedge starting from $10,000 with many bounces from the resistance here and also actually here. Let's make it clear. And another point for the support, many touches of the support. This was the breakout, which you might say that okay, this was the real breakout and then we kind of having the new trend. It could be, but at the same time we have a very nice test of this line here. We had the resistance of this line here, and this line also serves as resistance right there. So it might be that we actually still within this wedge. And technically, as it is said on the Bulkovsky's website, such kind of wedges are broken usually to the upside, but it depends on many factors. It of course is not 100% probability, and the fact that we actually broke it already to the downside alludes us that it's a very high chance that we'll break it to the same direction once again. And first, of course, we can test the trend line here. It will be something like $4,500 or $3,700 as the previous low and the previous one low over here. But if we'll break it, then apparently we'll go below $3,800. If you'll zoom in even more, then you will see that here we might draw the head and shoulders pattern with target somewhere around $6,000. We still are drawing the second shoulder, right shoulder, so it's not necessarily that we'll go there. We need to see the breakout, maybe the test of the neckline from the bottom, and then see the rejection, and after that, yeah, it's very likely that we'll go much lower. But before that is just the possibility of this to happen. And I would say that we can draw a lot of such things. You saw all these wedges, the channels, and so on and so forth, but I would pay attention to the traditional markets and how they perform recently. If you remember, I showed this Elliott wave count here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, well, somewhere here I expected it to be 4 and then going lower to 5, but you see, instead of that, we are continuing to go higher. And I would say that right now we're approaching to this low, so if we'll break this low and hold above it, then all this wave count will be invalid, and we might see indeed some continuation of the growth, or at least sideways price action. In that case, Bitcoin will probably have a better chance to go higher, or at least not dropping too much. But if it not happens and we will not go above this low and will continue to go lower, like in a larger scheme of things, then we'll probably see Bitcoin following. And yeah, it's very likely, again, with all that coronavirus panic and everything, we can see much lower price on stocks and all the other assets like commodities and everything, and then we might see Bitcoin following, and then the new low is would be there. But the point is, again, it's not clear, it's not it's very vague situation right now, very big ambiguous. Locally though, I must point out the TD sequential, which played out fairly well recently. Like all the time when we see the nines counts, like here or here or here or even here, every time it plays out. And now we also had this 9 green candle followed by the 2 red candles, so I would say most likely that we'll see the continuation of the drop from that point. It's not necessarily to be the major one, because you see the volatility is not that huge recently, but still more likely to go lower than higher. And so a little bit of the positive note I would like to end this video on. This is the long-term regression, non-linear regression curve following the Bitcoin price action from its beginning of its history of trading. And you see, recently we dropped below this support, which is an orange line, first time in history. I wouldn't count this because it's like a very small deviation, but still, here it is the first time of the major drop below it, like 50% of the price actually. So first of all, this might be kind of a bear trap. If we will see this is the zoomed in picture of that. If we'll continue to go higher, hold above it, constantly go higher and higher without breaking it lower once again, then yeah, it could be a bear trap, and we will go to the new bull market again with support of the traditional assets. But still, right now we can't go higher. It's something like $7,500. Still, there is a chance, there's a risk that we will not be able to sustain this long-term evolution of the price. But it would be very, very nice, very beautiful if we'll continue to do that. It will be like within the major paradigm, but you know, we have what we have, and we'd have to just to follow the trends, follow the market, not trying to fight it, but just go with it. And yeah, let's see how the major markets will evolve and how it will affect the price of Bitcoin as well. But so far, that is probably it for today. I will keep you updated. Sorry for making videos that rarely, but I will try to make it better. And yeah, safe trading, guys. Goodbye.